Hey guys, Nicole here. So 80925, great area, and you're going to be really interested to see what the information that Trace has for you in this upcoming market report. So hang on tight and let's see what June was all about.
If you are looking for information on buying, selling, managing, or renting a home, we'll show you all the tips, tactics, and secrets that will best ensure your success. So let's get started. Hi, everybody. My name is Trace with Ashford Realty Group here in Colorado Springs, and Nicole and I put together the numbers, and I'm going to quickly go over this report for you as far as the housing market for 80925 for June 2021. Now, real quick, forgive me if you saw this in the other videos, but just real quick in case this is the first video, and especially for the one for June. July 4th just passed, and we wanted to say thank you to all of our veterans, active duty, prior duty, and to include our local law enforcement and emergency responders. Thank you for everything you guys do so that it allowed family and friends to celebrate their freedom and celebrate their country this past weekend. So again, thank you guys so much. Heartfelt thanks to all of y'all. So guys, for the 80925 area, guys, let's get into it. So median sales price range for 80925. Now, this is going to be the average sales price that sold just last month, so June of 21, was 429,250. Now, this actually outpaced Colorado Springs as a whole by just a couple $1,000s. It was actually 427 was Colorado Springs for the month of June 21. So this is outpacing it by about $2,500. So for the median sales price. And again, this is just the average sales price that sold in 80925 in the month of June. So what does that look like as far as a trend or, previous year? So compare this year to the previous year, we've seen a 20.7 increase. Now, this number, as far as the appreciation, was just a little less than what we saw in Colorado Springs and other areas, but you can pretty much, for the zip codes that we're tracking and Colorado Springs as a whole, we're looking at 20 to 30% for some time now as far as appreciation from this time last year. So what does that look like as far as a 12-month trend? And guys, this is just this has been true for most every report that we've done for the last several months, regardless of the zip code or Colorado Springs as a whole. It's pretty much trended this way. We had a couple bumps, and this is true of Colorado Springs as a whole as well, and the other ones, a couple bumps there along the way. And this really, with COVID out there and shutting everything down and how that affected builders, and especially in 80925 where there's a lot of new build going on, this could have paused and caused disruption in the market. So you got to give a little bit of forgiveness here over the past year, just because of what we saw and experienced with COVID. But as you can see, the good news is we're trending up. And the good news is with 80925, this has been the steady with no extremes. So this, what's good news here is just a steady increase month over month without these huge, large gaps and jumps that we've seen in some of the other markets. We're seeing a very sustainable growth here in 80925, which is good news. So what does that look like as a whole for a 5 year? So if we're going to compare the last 5 Junes, so from June 2017 to 21. And guys, this has been accurate and spot on for every report that we've done for the last several months, regardless of the area. We've seen that, the previous 4 years, there was this margin that kind of stayed within a certain boundary there, as far as increase in appreciation that they saw or median sales price increase. But from 20 to 21, we're seeing a large jump. And this large jump, you can kind of think that last year was a pause. There was a lot of things that didn't happen. The activity in our numbers were down, especially listings and opportunities, because everybody was locked up and couldn't go anywhere. So anyways, you're seeing a pretty extreme jump here, nearly, just shy of 80,000 here from the previous year. So guys, let's look at inventory. And now inventory has been the issue everywhere. And I want to warn you, when we're looking at zip codes like this, these numbers are going to be, a little bit different than, Colorado Springs as a whole. And I would tell you, when we're looking at a zip code or when we're looking at a subdivision and we're doing this kind of information, this kind of report with this kind of detail, I would encourage you to, refer back to Colorado Springs as a whole, especially when we're in a zip code or area that has a lot of new builds, because these are going to skew the numbers. And that's what's happened here. So you have 59 homes listed in the month of June 21, and then 89 that are sold. These numbers are not inverted. These are actually accurate numbers are pulled from the MLS. More than likely what's happening here is you're seeing new builds, and especially when you have new build in the zip code or subdivision we're talking about, these numbers are going to be skewed, and especially with the supply and demand issues we have. And what I mean by that is new builds, or especially production builders, they're not even scratching dirt until they have a contract on the home. And they're not doing this to be greedy or malice or anything else. This is just a simple, cause and effect of inventory and supply and demand issues. There's not enough trade work to go around, getting the supplies out there quick enough, weather, everything else. There's so many different factors that go into this that the builders are trying to keep up. So they're doing everything. I mean, they're putting out all kinds of pieces and figuring out new ways to try to get there while not sacrificing quality. And we definitely have some good production builders here in Colorado Springs that are definitely focused on how can they speed things up without affecting quality. So this is not going to be uncommon when you see this, and especially when you have new builds or new developments in the area. So this right here shouldn't alarm you. This has been true of every report we've done for the last several months for each area, especially when they have new builds in the area. Again, you're looking at a zip code that has had a lot of new builds in there. Driving that new build. So when you have 80925 or, for example, 80939 and these zip codes that normally have a lot of raw land, and all of a sudden these big developments start popping up and they're cranking out houses quick, you're going to see more sales than you are listings. Because again, they just don't list the homes when it's dirt like that. And I can't even think of the last time I saw a spec home here in the area that wasn't, the luxury end in the million plus. So 5-year trend, guys, this is going to be a 5 year. So the last 5 Junes, so from June 17th to June 21, and you can see we had a lot more listings in 17. And this is where most of us would expect and think a normal market to be. Again, these numbers still represent a seller's market, though, and I'll show you that here in a second. But anyways, you see the numbers, and then boom, it looks like we have some new developments coming in. And these numbers don't alarm me when they invert like this. This is, again, it's just normally a product of a new build. Of course, you can have homes that were listed in May, and then they didn't sell till June. So it would show the listing in May, and then and then just the sale in June. So obviously that could be the case. And you can have some spikes after COVID restrictions or spring and summer's coming along. But for the most part, that's kind of going to be a base and a common factor that's going to continue on. So you can almost negate or, put that aside as a main variable. And more than likely what you're looking at here is new builds. So guys, that's the inventory piece. And so buyers or sellers market. This is not hard to figure out, guys. I feel like you guys already know this just with what's going on in the news and just talk around town and everything. But let's talk about how we get or determine if it's a buyer or seller's market. And forgive me if you guys have seen this before, but in case you haven't seen this, let's just do a quick explanation. So month supply of inventory. This is going to be housing inventory, guys. And what they're looking at here is, factoring the listings versus sales to see how many homes or how many months supply of inventory do you have. And this right here just represents over 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks and shy of 3 at the 0.66. Now, anything less than 4 months is going to be a seller's market, and 4 to 6 is going to be a balanced market, and then 7 plus is going to be your buyer's market, which quite frankly, I can't even remember the last time I saw a buyer's market here in our area. The secret's out about Colorado Springs. Everybody wants to be here, and people are standing in line to get into these homes. So with that said, it's obviously a seller's market. Now, if you currently own here in 80925 or even in Colorado Springs, this is great information. If it's one of those things where you do need to relocate and you're cringing at the fact that I'm losing out on look at how prices are climbing, my home just continues to appreciate, then I would encourage you to look into property management, be it us or somebody else. At least just ask the questions. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you it's not for everybody, but it certainly works a lot for most. And I will tell you, I would certainly, with these numbers of the last several months or a few years now, I would certainly say that, this certainly outperforms Wall Street and crypto, by miles. With some other considerations in there, crypto and Wall Street couldn't even keep up with some other considerations that I'd be happy to share you guys. It would just extend this video a little bit too much, but I'd be happy to share the reasons on that. But anyways, guys, no secret, it's the seller's market. If you do look to continue to ride that appreciation wave, but you do need to relocate, again, check into property management. Or if you do look to sell your home, you're going to want to prepare some things so you can actually save and keep more in your pocket. Now, granted, most anybody that you're going to work with is going to be able to get you, full price or higher. But I will tell you, agent matters. So make sure the agent that you're working with is going to be able to take care of you. And a lot of that conversation is about saving up front, prior to inspection, prior to listing and everything else. And I'm not talking about repainting your home inside and out. That's a good way to lose money, new flooring and everything else, and totally rehab the home. we just don't recommend that in most all cases. And the market and how the market is going to determine how much you're going to want to do. If you have questions on that, feel free to reach out. We'll be glad to explain that to you. And be it you working with us or somebody else, we just want to make sure you have the right information so you're not shorting yourself. So feel free to do the instant report down below. I'm going to tell you, be it our instant report or somebody else's or another agent's, good, quick information if you're not looking to do anything, but it's not information you're going to want to go by because normally it's 2 to 3 months old. The reason for that is in order to make it instant, as far as an instant report, they're going to be pulling public data. All these systems that we utilize are going to pull public data and public information. And that information could be, anywhere from 2 to 3 months old. And you can see with the numbers we're looking at on those charts and how quick things are moving up, that you would certainly, be amiss if you, utilize that to factor your numbers, because that's just not going to be accurate information. To fix that, so you still don't have to run into sales or whatever, you guys do the instant report and put that in there. You'll get that instant report. We're going to follow up with a comprehensive report. We're just going to email it to you. And then if you have questions, feel free to reach out. The extent of us reaching out or hounding or harassing would just be us making sure that you got the report. Anything beyond that, you guys reach out. We're happy to help. Until next time, guys, cheers. And hey, don't forget to look at that Colorado Springs video as well. That way you can have a better idea. Cheers.